3, 2, 1.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders.
These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line.
This is going to be a live trading video.
Here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade.
Wow, I'd love to get in on this. Technical insights that really look good to me. Here we go. We're live. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another live stream. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of September. Appreciate you being here. There's a bunch of people in the comments section there saying hello. So shout out to my friend Joshua, Trey, Andrew, Divine, Don, John Doe, Orlando. Good to see everybody in the chat. Thanks for being here and happy Tuesday to you. We got some craziness going on in the markets today. We have to talk about the dollar because the dollar seems to just be on a massive run today. Actually, I think, did we just make new highs? Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at the daily chart really quick. Can I do one day? And look at this. So we're looking at the DXY. I think, you guys, that we just tagged a high of year just a few minutes before the stream actually started. Kind of crazy today. Again, we're seeing some really, really big movements to the upside for the US dollar, which again is sort of the high of year. So you can see before this, back in, what is that, middle of August, we had a high on the US dollar. We came down pretty hard, but then now we've slowly worked our way up and finally seeing the pop over the highs today. This is a really big moment for the dollar because, again, this shows that the dollar doesn't want to quit, at least for the time being. Not only are we coming back to the highs, but we've seen a consistent higher low in the dollar itself. That sort of signals to me that the dollar is still hot, still trying to make a move further. Now, a lot of times when people will see a high of year being formed, they'll say, ooh, now's the time to sell just because it's hitting that high of year. That sounds like a big high price that maybe you want to get rid of the dollar, sell it off, get out of there while take your profits. But for me, looking at the dollar now, with this fresh break, this shows a lot of strength. And if anything, makes me kind of bullish on the dollar for the time being. What was this big area of resistance? Again, back in August, price came all the way up here and then just sold off, right? I like to use the analogy of a car. It's like when you go to buy a car, if everyone is spending, let's say that you have, I'll draw a really ugly car for you guys. Let's say you're looking at a really ugly car and everyone says it's worth $2,000. And so you're like, well, I don't want to pay $2,500 for it. That's overpriced. Everyone's paying $2,000 for it over here. But then all of a sudden there's a rush of buyers and everybody wants to buy a car at once. And now you're saying, oh, that $2,000 price looks really good. And now people are bidding it up to 2.5, right? This is the idea of supply and demand in markets. And we see it happen every day. This signal that we see happening right now is really big because, again, you had that August high come in right there and everyone sort of saw it as, oh, the dollar's too high here. We're going to sell this thing off. But now, as there's a rush of buyers coming into the dollar again, now we see that same level of price be a bargain for a lot of traders who are watching the dollar. Now, the dollar itself is interesting, but there are also a whole bunch of other currency pairs that we can go take a look at in respect to the dollar. So, for example, we can switch the chart over to Euro USD. We'll take a look here and see what's going on with the euro. So the euro, similar to the dollar, is coming back down to the lows of the year. So again, back in August, we put in a low here for the euro traders. We saw a really big, strong rally at these levels. Now we've trailed all the way back down. All that profit has been taken and sellers have basically taken over here yet again. We're back down to the lows, down at 1.1675 or so. And similar to the dollar, we're pressing on the door, but it doesn't seem like we're quite underneath the lows, which is actually interesting. So you might ask, well, if the dollar is going up, why is the euro dollar going down? Well, remember, when we're looking at currency pairs, what we're looking at is we're looking at two currencies relative to one another. So Euro USD, if we're saying that the dollar is getting really strong, what does that do, relatively speaking, to the euro when we cross the two against one another? Again, you're saying, when you look at this chart, you're saying, do I want to buy the euro or do I want to buy the dollar? because what you have to do is you have to buy one with the other. It's a bit confusing to the newer people out there, but this idea is basically, okay, if we're saying that the dollar is very strong right now, relatively speaking, the euro is looking a bit less attractive, which is where we see this thing coming down. So now when we look at the euro and we're coming into supportive levels where we found big demand for the euro back in August, the question is, are we going to find similar reactions there now? Or is this thing going to break through the lows? And I would say that a natural place for this thing to go would actually be a break through the lows. Just because you have a low doesn't mean that it can't become, a resistance point, right? For example, what if we see something like this? What if we see follow through for the dollar that pushes us underneath support, and then we see the retracement and there's opportunities to go short and continue to go with this flow to the downside? Just by looking at this thing, you can see that the kind of flow of this chart seems to be to the downside, which would tell us, hey, maybe this thing is headed to new lows, right? A pretty consistent pattern with sell trends that you see a low be formed and then a new low and a new low and a new low and a new low, right? You're seeing that pattern of new lows coming into this market. So just like the example of, the car that we talked about earlier, we could actually do this in a similar way. Still with a car, we could say, well, over time, what happens to a car's value? It goes down, right? So people are willing to pay less and less for it. Well, that's been the exchange between the euro and the dollar for the last several months. We've seen a flow to the downside overall. And as a trend trader, I'm looking to go with that flow. I'm looking to sell the euro and be more favorable towards the dollar. So we'll take a look at that one. We'll come back to the euro at some point. Let's now take a look at GBP USD. We'll take a look at the British pound. Taking a look at the British pound, and look at this, you guys, coming down very, very strong today. You can see that the dollar strength is really hurting the pound bulls. And this level here, it just seems like it was meant to be broken. You can see what was a big, strong level of support here back in, what was that? Was that July? Yeah, July 20th, and then August around that area as well. And then bam, again in September, we tried to hold these lows. So that's a multi-time frame or a multi, sort of situation where we saw demand come into this market multiple times. But again, it just wasn't enough to fight the strength of this strengthening US dollar. So, as we look at this on the daily chart, this is just a really big bearish catalyst to me. I think that this is just more sell side for the pound, at least in the short term. And I'm not saying that happily, because I actually like the idea of buying the pound, just not against the dollar and just not now. Because as a trend trader, right, I'm looking for scenarios where we see a flow of the market in one direction, right? We can draw the trend line here and we can see we've been putting in consistent supply levels. We've seen sellers come in and push price lower and lower and lower. So now as we're breaking through the lows, this is not, in my opinion, a situation in which I would be buying. This is more of a situation where I'd be like, okay, that's very bearish. I'd like to see if we can find more opportunities to sell into any sort of strength that may come. That's my opinion. That's my approach to this. I think that the pound is very bearish for now, especially against the dollar. And it does look like now that we're seeing sort of lows of the year, that may be a consistent pattern for a while. So that's what I'm looking at. We'll see what's going on. Somebody said there's a crisis now in the UK. What is that about? What's the crisis in UK about? At this moment, there's a shortage in Britain. Yes, I've actually heard about that. I heard that there's like supply issues or something like that when it comes to natural gas. Is that right? Yeah. Interesting. Let's actually, while we're talking about the pound, how's it doing against the euro? So the euro pound today is actually trading higher. So euro GBP here, you can see a little bit of a jump to the upside there as the pound gets quite weak today. So interesting. Not shortage, just logistic issues. Okay. No track drivers. Okay. Thank you guys for the information. That's why we do these streams. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. We're able to sort of have a conversation in the chat. So thank you. Fuel conversation. Got it. 90% of stations are having a shortage. Okay. I'm from the UK. The mainstream media, the fact there's a shortage of HGV drivers and now people are panic buying oil. And okay. Yeah, we had something similar here in the South, actually. We had a pipeline that actually got hacked, which Don't ask me how that works because I don't know. But we had a pipeline that got hacked, and it caused a huge shortage in like gas and oil and stuff. And all the gas stations for a while were just packed. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to see people react to that stuff because you very quickly find out that, in a supply line shortage, things get very scary very quickly. So yeah. So for my friends in the UK, hope things are back to normal soon, and we'll just have to go from there. So the pound again suffering today in response to that. So we'll take a look at one more pound pair. We'll take a look at GBP Jpy here. See how this thing is doing. So the pound again suffering against the yen, struggling to really follow through here. And we've talked about the pound against the yen a couple different times on this daily chart as just not being able to really break out of this downward structure. And I really would love to be a buyer of the pound yen, but again, I can't really do it until we see the follow through. So as pound yen comes down today, there's nothing really here for me. I'm not really interested in shorting the pound yen personally. I would be more interested in looking for buys. But again, I've got to be buying into strength, not buying into sort of a market that is trending lower overall. So we'll keep this one on the radar, keep this one on the watch list for sure. But yeah, I think that the whole situation with the UK, will it blow over? I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough. But what I do know is that a lot of times you get these jumps in fear in general in markets that can be short-lived unless they are some form of like game changer, right? I'll be the first one to say when the pandemic came around, I was at first kind of my response to it from a market perspective was, I don't think that this thing is going to be a market ruiner. And boy, was I wrong, because the S&P 500 came down hard after that. And it just kept coming down because it was more not just about the situation itself, but the actual supply lines got taken down because a lot of the shipping companies and things like that slowed down and stopped. And when that happens, that can cause some serious slowdown in the economy itself. So that's kind of what occurred there. It was a much bigger deal than I expected it to be. So I'm not going to make a judgment call just by hearing about it for the first time here today. So I'll have to definitely go do some research on the pound myself before making any further conclusions on it. But that's my first reaction is just be aware that sometimes you get these fear pops that go away quickly, and other times they can be a much bigger problem. So you'll have to make a little bit more of a judgment call there on your own. Taking a look at the pound against the Swiss franc, look at that move to the downside today, you guys. GBP CHF coming down real strong. This is a daily chart, of course, so that is a big move. You can see here's the 4-hour view, and again, price came trailing up, and then just sellers crashed through the lows here today. So actually kind of a nice little breakout to the downside. If you caught that move, if you're a day trader out there and you caught some of that short-term action, then congrats to you. That's probably a profitable trade for you big time. But yeah, so kind of crazy. There's videos of people emptying other people's cars for their fuel. Wow, that's intense. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's insane. So, yeah, GBP CHF, we are coming, to be fair, we're coming into a level of support. If you're a buyer for some reason, maybe you're looking at this with interest. Of course, from a technical analysis standpoint, it does seem like a nice area. However, just with that catalyst with news that could get worse or things could get scarier in the short term, I wouldn't rush to buy the pound against the Swiss franc personally, especially considering the Swiss franc is sort of that risk-off currency, that safe haven currency that people flock to. So if things get scary, this thing could come down way harder. And that may have already been why this thing came down as hard as it did. So we'll take a look at one of my trades currently, USD CHF. This trade went really well for me this morning, and now it's just a question of whether or not I'm going to be able to stay in it. So I do have my stop loss trailed into profit. I'm filming this trade, so you guys will be able to see it on the YouTube channel. It looks awfully close to stopping me out for a profit there. So you can see right now I'm up. At this point, $60. Just a few minutes ago, it was like $100. So giving back a little bit of the profit here today, this morning. But I entered back here on support. I actually entered this trade several different occasions. I took a trade back here. I took a trade here. I took one other one I'm trying to figure out. Oh, yeah. So I bought here, and I bought here. And I closed out my other trades. I took a break even, took a profit, and now I am trailing a profit here on the dollar against the Swiss franc. We're looking at the 15-minute chart, so this is closed up, but you can see price basically popped this morning, and I used that as an opportunity to trail my stop loss into profit. So worst case scenario, I walk away with a decent profit here on the dollar against the Swiss franc. So hopefully we can catch a little bit of that. But if it decides to keep going, what I'll do is I'll continue to hold on to my long position and see if we can make any more money with that. So of course, we'll just have to see. This is a trade, by the way, that I called out inside of our private Discord channel. If you're not already in the Discord and you would like to join, there's a link down below in the description. Every trade that I take, I share in the form of an entry here on my journal inside of the group. So inside of the group, you get access to our chat rooms. You get access to trade ideas being sent out. You can join our coaching webinars. We have educational material. And of course, like I said, every trade that I take gets shared here in the Discord, not just as a signal, but with entries, exits, and analysis. I'm not a big fan of just, telling people to copy or, hey, do this or anything like that. That's not really our style. What we're here to do is share our trades. We've got some experienced analysts on our team. And any trade that I take or they take is accompanied with some form of analysis to give you an insight as to why the trade is being taken, what the reasoning is, what's the risk management on the trade, all the things that, are actually important in being a profitable and consistent trader. We try and do our best to cover all of those angles. So if you'd like to join the Discord, like I said, there's a link down below in the description. And if you use the code there, you'll actually get a discount as a subscriber here on YouTube. So plug in the code, join the group. If you're newer to my stuff and you're out there and you're struggling as a trader, I would highly encourage you to try the group just for a month, see if it's a fit for you. I'm very confident that you'll get a ton of value out of it, especially, like I said, if you're a newer trader and you're aspiring to get better, but you just don't know where to start, this is the place to be. So come join us. Link is down below in the description. And look at that, you guys, the dollar Swiss franc is trying to push back up here. We'll see if this thing can make a further push. But like I said, it is quite volatile. And to be fair, we do also have, I think, we have some news today. Let me see. This week, I believe today we have, Fed Chair Powell testifies. So yes, we have Powell speaking, which if you don't know who that is, then he is the chief of the Fed basically. And the Fed discusses our monetary policy. They talk about inflation and printing money and stimulus checks and all that stuff. They control that. So we do have a speech from him at 10 a.m., which 10 a.m. my time is about 40 minutes from now. It may be different, maybe a different time for you, but 10 a.m. is about 40 minutes from now for here in the U.S. Eastern time frame. So that could definitely be volatile. If you're trading the dollar at all this morning, just be aware of the fact that in about 40 minutes, we do have market moving news that could be impactful to your position. And what I mean by that is that if you're sitting there and you're looking at a trade, like for example, my dollar Swiss trade, because it has the US dollar involved in it, if there is something that is game changing or groundbreaking for the dollar, this thing could go either way. It could go flying to the upside or it could go flying to the downside. So that's why this morning I basically moved my stop loss into profit, just locking it in. So, hey, if this thing comes crashing down on some bad news, I'll still take a profit. And if it keeps going, then hey, that would be awesome. I'll be able to maybe lock in some more on the trade. So that's my thoughts so far. We'll have to see what happens with the news today. Is that going to be a public address, Trader Nick? Was that? I'm not sure what you mean. Similar panic to the Colonial Pipeline hack back in May. Yeah, it sounds similar. I haven't looked into it, so I can't give you a full idea. He's the Forex god. I am not the Forex god. There are definitely traders out there with bigger accounts and better strategies than me. I'm just the regular guy. The thing is, trading is something that the average person can do. It takes a lot of work to learn. It's not easy, but I don't want to make you think that, oh, I'm some form of PhD in finance genius, because I'm not, right? I'm just a normal person that has spent a lot of time on this. And if I can do it and I can spend the time because I like this stuff and figure it out, you can too. And when I say figure it out, like I said, I'm still not perfect. I'm just making improvements myself and getting better at it over time. So again, that's why we're here. We're here to share free knowledge and talk about trading and share insights so that we can all work towards being a better trader, because there is no such thing as being the perfect trader or a Forex god. It's really just, improving by a small percentage each day. So that's what we're looking to do. Have I done gold already? No, but my friend AFC Smith, let's take a look at gold now. Switching the chart over to XAU USD, taking a look at gold this morning. And gold, look at that. We had a spike there on gold, which is actually really interesting. So the dollar got strong and, well, I guess actually no. So gold this morning was really bearish. We just saw a little bit of a bounce back. So here's the 4-hour chart looking at gold. The price of gold is down, down, down. You can see we'll take a look at this. What was demand is now supply. So this level here where we did see buyers trying to make a hold, we saw them lose the war there as price basically pushed through the lows. And again, as we know, price action and just in general, the price of a market like this, it's a constant battle between buyers and sellers. We're trying to figure out, are the buyers stronger or are the sellers stronger? And for me right now, looking at gold, the sellers are just stronger. You've got multiple instances where the sellers basically just came back in and said, bulls, move out of the way. You're getting beat up and we're going lower. So I want to just real quick, this is just for fun. I found out, well, I knew this, but I wanted to explain it again to some of the newer people out there just for fun. Do you know why they call buyers bulls and sellers bears? That is an age-old expression for hundreds of years on Wall Street. They've been using these phrases, but do you know why they use them? Here's why. Here is why. Well, I want to give people just a chance to maybe write their answer. I always love your analysis. Always a humble personality. Nice one, man. Well, thank you, David. Appreciate you being here, man. Woke up this morning, 200 pips in profit on 2 different trades on gold. Hey, congrats, Victor. Nice to hear that. Nick takes about 1 to 2 trades a week. That is sort of true. It really depends the week. Some weeks I'll take like 5 trades. Other weeks I'll take like 1 trade. So it really does depend. And some traders in our group, for example, are more active than others. But for me, it really just depends what the swing trades. This week has been really, really interesting. There's been lots of setups, and I've been trading the dollar Swiss over and over, it seems like. But okay, so Meshi has the answer. Bull with the horns going up, bear scratch downwards, right? Think about this. If you have picture a bull in your head. If a bull was to attack something, because this is like war. When I say like price action and charts are war, it's people's money going back and forth, right? You're fighting over who the winner is. Bulls, when they strike up, right? Bears, when they attack, they scratch down, which is exactly right. So I don't know, kind of a simplistic view of it, but there's your answer. In case you didn't know that may be insightful to you today. So again, the bulls are looking to push this thing up. The bears are trying to strike it down. So again, you can make money either ways in the markets, which is kind of a fascinating concept by itself. But there are people who are making money shorting gold recently, and the bulls seem to be getting hurt. So we'll see if that can persist. Like I said, basically this big level of support breaking was kind of a big deal for sellers who said, hey, that's fresh levels of supply. We got lots of interested sellers who want to push this thing lower. Now, of course, the question is, will we hold this level here at 1725? It looks like it may give an attempt here. You can see if we just extend that support level, price is trying to bounce off of that level. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the bulls are able to try to hold that level, and vice versa, whether or not the sellers can push through it. For me, I would be interested. Well, I'm not really a big fan of shorting gold personally. There's other trades that I'm more interested in taking, but I think that the path of least resistance would be, looking at stuff like this, looking to capture on that continued flow downwards by maybe looking at sell side action up here at resistance, right? So that's my opinion. We'll see how that plays out. If gold does give pullback opportunities, maybe you'll watch it. But again, like I said, there's no interest here for me on the buy side of things, just because this thing seems to be very strong to the downside for the time being, with not a whole lot of strength in sight. So With that said, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. That's all I've got for you. Again, if you want to see the trades being taken, there's been a lot of action inside of the group. You can see, for example, like I said, I am long on the dollar against the Swiss franc, which I've traded this one a bunch of times. So definitely encourage you to come join us. How's that trade doing, by the way? We'll take a quick look as we close. Dollar Swiss franc is doing pretty well. Look at that. We're still in the trade. We'll switch it over to the 1 hour chart again. You can see I got in back here. And so far, still doing okay. So like I said, if you would like to join the private group, you can see the trades being taken by myself and our other lead analysts at A1 Trading. Highly encourage you to come try it out for a month. There's a link down below in the description. If you would like to try us out, you can use the promo code there and it will give you a discount to try it out for 1 month. So check it out down below in the description. And with that said, guys, appreciate you being here. That's going to wrap it up for me. And we will see you back in the next stream. See you guys later.
I know you were expecting Nick, but my name's Julie and I do the real work around here. I wanted to take a second to thank you guys for watching the show and tell you more about some free content that we offer. One of the things that we offer is a free email newsletter. So if you click the link down below, you can sign up for free market analysis, trading tips, and exclusive offers. Every once in a while, someone here at A1 Trading takes a crazy trade and you'll be the first one to know about it. See you guys next time.